The post-show hunger. Now, this can be like an element of possession, and I don't think anyone can really prepare you or really get you to understand just how much of a control this can take unless you've actually been there, done it, and felt those feelings yourself, especially for a first timer. People will always tell you that, the cravings, the focus, the almost like mindless, like loss of control once you start eating is difficult. But until you've actually experienced it, oh, it's like nothing you've ever experienced before. So, what do we do within this situation? What do we do to prepare ourselves? What do we do to line ourselves up with the best possible outcomes when this period does hit? And it will hit. I am yet to find anyone that hasn't experienced it. And, the first thing that we need to do is just recognize that it's very normal. Everyone goes through it. There's pros out there that have been doing this for years that still struggle with this. And the best possible thing to do is just have all your ducks in a row ready for when this time does happen. Now, firstly, don't give yourself a hard time over it. It's very normal. We all get lost in a box of celebrations or the copious amounts of treats that we've hoarded throughout the periods of prep. So the best thing to do, firstly, is not do that sort of hibernation hoarding of all the things that we're craving throughout the periods of prep. Post-show, not stop at every service station and pick up copious amounts of Snickers, Aeros, treats like Reese's Pieces, because it's just going to put us into a negative spot in relation to food focus. It's going to put us in a negative spot in regards to how we feel from a mindset perspective, but also it's going to land us in a pretty shitty situation in regards to weight gain, water retention, and that mindset of I've lost all my condition, I'm now a watery mess, which is then going to lead on to more negative association with foods, potentially more negative behavior with food, because once we fall down into that negative spiral, more often than not, we just hit the fuck it button. And once you hit the fuck it button, oh, it's a dangerous place to be. So we have to remember that post-show, our natural hunger hormones are going to be completely distorted. We're going to want and crave absolutely everything. So having a period post-show for a couple of additional extra weeks where we have plans in place, of course we can utilize foods that we want and crave and enjoy. But if we find that those foods become trigger foods, which will then tend to lead on to more binge style behaviors or more uncontrollable eating, then potentially just reducing those foods or taking them out for a period of time, just until we get over that sensitive period of being so heavily food focused. And it will die down. It does get easier. It's just that initial kind of post-prep period where everything just feels so out of control. So you've just been through a 16, 18, 20 week prep, however long it's been, adding an additional extra couple of weeks onto that just to have an increase in calories so that we're putting ourselves out of that low levels of body fat, high levels of stress, but still being regimented and sticking to that plan is going to land us in a very, very optimal place in regards to just having that food focus managed, having that food obsession reduced, and putting us in a much better place caloric wise, energy balance wise, and also digestive wise as well. Because when we come away from the stage and we haven't had any of these foods for such a long period of time, reintroducing them and going down the routes of like pizzas, burgers, things like that, they're going to cause a lot of problems to the digestive system, which is going to leave us feeling pretty shitty, for lack of a better word. So, of course, I'm not saying to anyone like continue prep, restrict all foods. We want to reintroduce these foods. We want to put life back in. We want to put enjoyment back in, but just be mindful about what food sources we're actually utilizing here, the time and frequency in which we're utilizing them as well, and also making sure that our food is of an optimal place for recovery. Because I feel that post-show, a lot of people think, right, okay, but if I stick to my prep dust and ice cubes plan. I can have this off plan this night and this off plan this night. And maybe what I'll do is I'll keep my 45 minutes of cardio in. I'll maybe keep my clen and your himbein in as well, because that will allow me to have this, this, and this. And then it's just falling into a really negative cycle, which we don't want. You know, we want to have the body responding in an optimal place. We want to have the digestion responding in an optimal place. We want to have everything that's going to land us in a perfect place to just regain control, regain happiness, like setting aside progression here, setting aside performance. We don't want to be mentally dictated or driven by food focus or off plans or excessive amounts of cravings. So if there's things in the house that are causing that, get rid of them. You know, if there's things in your plan that are causing that, get rid of them. However, on the flip side, if for the whole time in prep you've been craving Biscoff and a muffin or Biscoff and a bagel, cool, incorporate that into a plan. You know, speak to a coach and say, right, these are the foods that I'm really enjoying. These are the foods that I get on well with. These are the foods that I'm really like craving and fancying. You can incorporate them in the plan as long as they're not going to trigger any sort of cascade or avalanche of negative behavior afterwards. But the more we do this process, the more we go through preps, the more we go through diets, the easier it's going to become. You'll learn trigger foods, you'll learn behaviors, you'll learn methods in which can make this post-show period easier. And it's all about the process and how you can manage that moving forward. You know, if we're constantly spending our prep and off seasons in prep being 100% regimented, robotic, and not missing a beat, and then the moment that prep stops, just becoming completely out of control with food and balance and our goals, we're never going to be able to learn how to optimize both levels of the season, which we want them to both work together. Yeah, prep has to be 100%. Yeah, prep, you can't miss a beat. Yes, you have to track everything, but an off season doesn't necessarily have to be that intense, but it still has to be quite mindful. You know, another method that I've found very optimal with clients is giving them a baseline of calories, giving them a baseline of protein intake, and saying, okay, well, let's macro track meals in, but, you know, don't use all your calories for one cookie dealer and then just living off dust and nothing for the rest of the day, because that's not going to optimize progress, and it's going to leave you feeling pretty fucking hungry for the rest of the day as well. And you've just done 1,200 calories in one cookie. So it's all about learning that process, learning the best methods for you, but then also learning how we can control those behaviors and move forward from them afterwards as well. But you're not alone. Everyone going through their post-show period right now is probably dealing with the same struggles that you are, the same level of food focus, the same mindless scrolling on Instagram, looking at every sweet treat known to man. Simply ignore it, move on from it, allow yourself that period of recovery, give yourself that level of discipline that you need to for those weeks coming post-show. There's elements of assistance that can still stay in post-show that can work very optimally, but that's set for another video. And speak to your coach. Don't get lost from one check-in to another in a pile of empty wrappers and then come a check-in day and say, oh yeah, oops, I slipped up there, because we can't go back in time. Address it when it happens, and we'll put plans in place to move forward. Guys, thank you as always for another YouTube educational short. I will see you all soon.